And then Harley is.
Congrats. You're supposed to be doing, right? Been for a long time, so.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to our first day of our College of Health and Human Sciences fee review. I think we can start it off, just go around the room, introduce ourselves to Dean Harms, who is graciously here to present on the College of Health and Human Sciences. So I'll start it off. I'm Evan Porter. I'm the Speaker of the Student Senate, and I'm a senior studying political science.
Hello, Dean Harms. My name is Parker Volgamore. I serve as the student body president and get to co-chair this committee with seniors studying agricultural economics and pre-law.
My name is Bryson Warren. I'm a senior studying agricultural economics as well, and I'm on cabinet as the director of recruitment.
Dana Sonner, I'm a junior studying fashion merchandising. I'm just a representative of health and human sciences.
Hi, I'm Cameron James Rose. I'm a senior studying finance. I'm also on the cabinet as the director of local relations.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. My name is Marcus Kidd. I'm a graduate student senator, PhD student in the College of Education.
Excellent.
Ethan Erickson, Administration and Finance. Blake Phillips, I'm a senior in MIS and Supply Chain, and I'm an ex officio member serving as Student Services Fee Committee Chair.
Okay.
My name is Jack Kennel. I'm a computer science major as a freshman. I'm just a member here.
My name is Jeremy Camden. I'm a junior. I'm in the College of Applied Sciences student senator. And I am a physics and international studies double major and a double minor in geophysics and classical studies.
And I'm Phil Payne, and I am the faculty Senate representative, ex officio member.
I know we have one more member on the way, and she will be here very shortly, but we can go ahead and get started. If you, wherever you're most comfortable, sitting, standing, I can control, I can give you the mouse, whatever works best for you.
Okay, what would you prefer? It kind of got.
Dino keeps stood up
options
here. That was,
Excuse me?
Dino keeps stood here. I don't know if that gives you any.
I don't want to be up. Yeah, I'm more of a stander than a sitter,
Yeah.
so that's okay. Yeah,
Absolutely.
join you up there. Okay, well, thank you Ed, for this opportunity. Again, those of you probably don't know me. My name is Craig Harms. I serve as the interim dean of the College of Health and Human Sciences. My home department is Department of Kinesiology. So I've been with the university for 25 years. And since 2014, I've served as department head of kinesiology. And the last year and 4 months as interim dean of the college. So we currently have a search going on for the permanent dean position, but I'm happy to be here to provide an update regarding our course fees.
Can we go ahead?
I'm ready.
Oh, maybe I have to click. There we go.
So it's just, you guys got to fill me in a little bit. Do you ask questions during or prefer at the end, or I'm
We'll-
fine either way?
We'll hold off till the end with the-
Very good, excellent. Okay. Well, in terms of our course fees, in our college about 8 years ago, we implemented a $20 per credit hour fee to enhance educational experience of students' respective curricular programs. These are the impact areas that we came up with the college in terms of what we identified as the primary areas that we're gonna most positively impact students: professional preparedness, competitive edge for career advancement, actually getting a job and doing well in that, improve cultural competencies and global readiness, expand the world beyond K-State, high impact learning environments, instructional enhancements, improving facilities, the infrastructure associated, with the learning opportunities, value added experiences beyond the classroom. So this is, not just learning in the classroom, but what we call experiential learning. What can we learn beyond what we traditionally teach through classes? And then undergraduate research opportunities foster a high level problem solving. And really, we've expanded that to undergraduate and graduate. It's really an emphasis that we try to project within the college to provide that opportunity. Now we're trying to make students into researchers, but understand that research process. So this $20 course fee this past year, fiscal year, was increased to $28.60 per credit hour because of restructuring with the global campus fee that used to provide $55 directly to the department. Ethan's group basically embedded this within, the course fee. So now it's $28.60. Our original proposal, we kept true to that with 30% going to the dean's office. We'll explain that. 70% going to the department fee, and this additional $8.60 now going back to the departments as we call unrestricted. So what's best used for the departmental use? This past year or current year in terms of fiscal year funding allocations at the college level, and I'm going to go into detail with each one of these. Pre-health advisors, a career development coordinator, travel scholarships, tutoring, undergrad/grad research scholarships and technology. And then at the department level, primarily with 10 academic advisors, instructor, program assistant, and student salaries. As I was going through this with my budget officer within our college, it's like, my gosh, what would we be doing if we didn't have this? I'm sure you've heard this from other colleges, but this is a game changer that we simply couldn't do without. So how has this been distributed as a whole? Again, since our last presentation, so Dean Buckwalter, my predecessor, he gave a presentation here 3 years ago. We generated roughly $4 million over the cumulative over that time period. If we look at terms of the departmental allocations, you can see the largest impact, as was showed before, with the dean's office, and then split kind of proportionally to student credit hours, size of the department, needs, etc., by each one of our departments within our college. And you see the rough percentages over here on the right. Okay. Specifically, how that money was broken down as a whole, I realize this isn't easy for all of you to see, but run down these. 51% personnel and salary, overwhelmingly, as we'll get into shortly in terms of how we've used it. Graduate salary, graduate health insurance, tuition waiver, student hourly salary, faculty travel, graduate travel, undergraduate travel, travel awards, research awards, undergraduate research awards, scholarships, tutoring, equipment, room renovations, computer supplies, software licensing, lab research office supplies, professional fees, professional events such as guest speakers, room rentals, etc., miscellaneous, and realignment of fund. So basically the same type of categories that was originally proposed 8 years ago, essentially hold true to that. So in terms of how we use that at the dean's level, again, primarily advising and career development. Integral part of our educational process, undergraduate students, improvement to student services, and promote and offer new courses and programs. So in our college, health and human sciences, we've seen a dramatic, in the last 10 years, increases in students going to pre-health careers. As an example, 11, 12 years ago when kinesiology joined the college, we were roughly at 2,300 students. We're closer to 3,000 now, 2,900. And our percentage that go into health-related careers is roughly 50 to 60%. So it comprises a major portion of what we do. Now, before we did this, the Art and Sciences had within their office pre-health advisors. We found that they simply weren't able to keep up with the demand as we were seeing with increases in college. So what Dean Buckwalter did at the time is start this, have our own pre-health advisors, not to compete against what was already here, but to add value in terms of helping our students in particular. So last 3 years, we hired Gayla, Adam, and Sherry in particular, working strictly with pre-health. In addition, during this past time period, in January, we started a physician assistant program. It was a 4-year undertaking in terms of getting that process started. The first class started in January. In addition, this past semester, we have a pathway to nursing program within our college as well, Health and Human Sciences, where it's a partnership with Wichita State University. As a result of these two programs, others, we've seen this influx, pre-health students, which is again, the necessity associated with these three in particular. In addition, we hired Dana 2 years ago, serving as our mentor program, I'll talk about shortly, but also serving as our career development coordinator. Again, working in coordination with the campus career development piece, but working more specifically in terms of resume building, etiquette dining, interviewing skills, everything in particular, not just our students, but students across campus. So she offers this in K-State today on a regular basis in terms of offering these career development opportunities within the college and across campus. Departmental advisors, you can see this is a game changer. With our increased enrollment that we've had in our college over the past 7 years, you see virtually every department and program within our college has been affected. The Center of Aging, Interdesign Fashion Studies, Applied Human Sciences, Food, Nutrition, Dietetics, and Health, which has a tremendous increase in online students. So we've had a particular, Jacob working specifically with those students, Applied Human Sciences, Kinesiology, and Personal Financial Planning. So been able to hire and support 10 academic advisors through the course of these course funds. Faculty and student development, primarily this has gone towards travel awards. This goes an example just this past fall. We had 3 students from kinesiology attend the experimental biology conference in San Diego, one of which won the grad student award, which is pretty impressive. So what these do is provide travel awards to support both undergraduate and graduate students attending their first conference or presenting research, either domestic or international travel. So what we do is we support both undergraduates receive $750 per academic year, so it can be divided between more than one conference, or graduate students $500 per academic year. We have much more undergraduates and graduate students, and we try to provide more funding for that opportunity. On average, over the last 3 years, we've had roughly 150 students who we've businesses per year that we've been able to support through these course fees with this opportunity. Of that distribution, roughly 90% grad students, roughly 10% undergraduate students. Student experience, again, that's that experiential learning opportunities beyond the classrooms. Interior design and fashion studies department does a lot of work in this area in terms of providing additional opportunities, whether it be to Wichita, Kansas City. They recently got back from a Chicago trip, basically all over in terms of exposing them, to what's out there. Our Center on Aging, works with intergenerational student experiences, working with older adults, in terms of, getting them out, getting them to be active. And then tutoring is something that we've really tried to focus as well within the college beyond what the university offers. So in particular, we've identified 2 courses within our college, both happen to be within kinesiology, but anatomy and physiology and exercise physiology, which typically provides the most challenge for students. And so we use part of the course fee to provide additional tutoring for those particular classes, and it's really helped a lot with regard to those. Student environment, increasing, enhancing, upgrading equipment and space. So we have 3 main classrooms that we've been able to substantially upgrade just in 254. As an example, you can see the type of things that we've done with that. Better computers, sound system, screens, whiteboards, tables, chairs, speakers, cameras, etc. Basically making them more up to date rather than a 50s or 60s style of a classroom experience. Upgrading equipment as well in some of our physiology labs. And of course, we use the signs associated so students know that the equipment that they are using has come from these course fees. Other ones, Campus Creek Complex is used for our communication and science disorder program. So they have a lot of sophisticated type of equipment associated with that. Also couples and family therapy, where they do a lot of telecommuting, telehealth associated with that. That's associated with that. Computer, communication science and disorder computer lab. Gym 9, which is one of our anatomy and physiology labs for now. Not next year. It'll be scheduled for demolition. That's gonna be talking about even over there. And of course, lab supplies. We offer a lot of lab opportunities within our college and it requires continually placement associated with those. Professional mentoring program. This is something Dean Buckwalter started a number of years ago that has proved to be extremely successful. This is simply provides opportunities to learn from successful, experienced professionals. They can be our graduates, but they don't have to be our alumni. You know, they're basically people working in the fields that our students are going into. We've averaged over the last 5 years, 110 to 140 mentor pairs. And you can see here the criteria in terms of what it takes to be part of this program. Highly successful, again, preparing students, getting outside of the, professors in terms of what they should know, talking to real life professionals. Next slide, you can see as an example, I just threw this in real recently. Victoria Cox, she's a fairly recent graduate of our college, who's currently doing a surgical residence. And why we asked her why you're interested in joining, wanted to help make the path to entering medicine less confusing. It's hard to find resources familiar with the application process unless you know someone in medicine. Wanted to be able to help students improve their applications, increase chances of acceptance, and discuss different paths in medicine, helping define career goals. So again, it has proved to be very successful in all our disciplines throughout the college. I'll tell you a personal note, my wife and daughter, who are both physical therapists, participate in this program, and they tell me that students really has been very beneficial to them. And finally, getting into our program and department course fees, we have 5 of these, okay? So first one, in terms of our Department of Interior Design and Fashion Studies, they have a $30 per course fee. Purpose, as was originally proposed, to fund and support instructional salaries, new courses, classes, improve student services. Currently, because of budget cuts over the years, what they're using it for this fiscal year is assistant professor and 1 instructor associated with that fee. Department of Kinesiology, $15 per credit union or per credit hour. Originally proposed, the purpose, 2 full-time instructors. Those 2 full-time instructors were hired and are currently on faculty. Department of Personal Financial Planning, the $50 per credit hour. Purpose, instructional faculty and student experience are the 2 primary areas that they identified what they wanted to use the course fee. What they're using it for this year is 2 professors to practice, partial fulfillment in terms of those salaries, enhanced student salaries, and then classroom renovations that they're working along with alumni, along with that too. Athletic training, rehabilitation sciences for the $25 per credit hour course fee. Purpose, basically to support the master's program, which it is a master's program with supplies and other support. But they're using it for this year, it's for lab, research, and just general supplies associated with it. And then finally, as I mentioned to you before, our physician assistant program, which just started in January. They have 3 program fees associated with that. They have a $75 application fee used to cover the admission process. They also have a $1,000 enrollment deposit that basically is credited towards them once they enroll. But it's really important, they thought, in order to establish that, because to hold that place. As an example, they had 780 applications for 40 slots. So it's highly competitive. We want to make sure that those positions are held for them, that they're serious about that. And then finally, a $30 course fee as general, lab supplies, travel, background checks, laptop computers, which everyone's supported, hardware, software, and tech support. That's what I got.
What did you say the on the enrollment for the PA program was? You said it was something like 700 and something, or how many applicants compared to?
Ballpark about 780 for the next year's class. It was over 700 for the first class. The next class will start in January, this coming January. And they had 780 applicants for 40 slots. 50% of those are from Kansas and 50% are out.
Okay, awesome. Does anyone have any just general overview questions, anything that stuck out about the presentation that you wanted to ask? Go ahead, Blake.
Actually, really quick, did you say that that PA program started this past January?
The first class started in January,
Mhm.
second week in January, yeah.
Gotcha.
It was actually, if you want a little bit of background associated with that program, how it originally came about to be was the dean of provost, actually, at the time of Wichita State University, approached our provost at the time, K-State, at a Kansas Board of Regents meeting, saying, have you ever thought of starting a PA program? She said, well, let me talk to my dean of Health and Human Sciences. And they thought, well, why would we? And at that time, they had the same sort of thing. So Wichita State's the only program in the state that had the PA program. And so they couldn't keep up with the demand associated with it. And so it was, there was a group that went to the president's cabinet, proposed, did all the background work associated with it. Got a commitment from Wichita State that they were in agreement to do this sort of thing. It was a long process. It was about a 3-year process in terms of getting this implemented and hiring in place and things. And then COVID hit. So it was delayed a year. But last about a year ago at this time, they received full accreditation. So the first class started in January. They had their white coat event last month. Students are doing exceptional. They have their clinical rotations scheduled for this coming semester, all the way from Alaska to Grenada, all across the United States. So thank you. This is housed, within at Ice Hall up on Manhattan Avenue. Those of you aren't familiar with it, on the hill there.
Does this like compete with the medical school at KU? Or I mean, why on earth is Wichita State the only school that's had a PA program for so long?
That's a good question. It's a good question. It's just like nursing. We have a shortage of nurses across the state and across the country, and there's 8 nursing programs in the state of Kansas. So there's just a high demand right now in terms of health careers. But in particular, why is there such few? That's a great question. Yeah.
I would have thought that would just make sense for KU, especially that has a medical school, but I don't know. I'm totally interested.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
What drove you to have the program fees be like individual to the different tracks rather than what I know the College of Engineering does, where any class in the College of Engineering has $100 or so fee associated with it per hour?
You mean rather than, or in addition to the departments having their own? Is that what you're asking? Or
Yeah, so in the individual departments have their own
Mhm.
fees in addition to the college. So what made you split that up rather than just one larger fee for the whole college?
yeah, not every department has their own fee. Some departments, when Buck Walter proposed this, after the college got theirs. And the proposal was basically by this committee was presented, I believe 6-7 years ago, that the opportunity was there, at the time of budget cuts and things like that, that could be presented to this committee in terms of asking for additional fees, depending on their own personal needs. And so over the course of years, it was decided that rather than just lump them all together in terms of one large college fee, more specific in terms of, as you saw with the different departments, they have different needs, different demands. And so it made more sense, I think, to the dean at that time to go that route rather than just one large to cover everything. And try and figure out who gets what. Thank you.
Jack, Jeremy.
Sorry if I misheard you along the presentation. Just for clarification, you mentioned that 30% goes to the dean's office and you said you'd mention it later. I just didn't know if I missed it when you mentioned it, or if you could.
Yeah, no, that was what I showed
Specifically.
before, in
Okay.
terms of 30% dean's office. So I showed, in
Got
terms of pre-health advisors.
Okay, so
Um,
specifically just that.
yeah, that piece, and then the 70% went towards like the 10 academic
Thank you, I appreciate it.
program. My pleasure.
What do the academic programs generally spend the fee collection on?
Which one? Which,
Any like, of the 10 academic programs, are they all spending them on supplies? Are they all spending them on salaries?
that, if you go back to a slide, that kind of shows that one. We have 7 programs, not 10.
Okay,
Yeah, so are you asking about at the college level or the department level?
so of the departments listed on the side there, what are they spending generally the fees on? Faculty,
You can see it doesn't show it here, but mostly faculty support.
okay.
Mhm. Primarily through advising.
Yeah, Lucas,
Can you go back a few slides?
to the beginning, or,
The one that has the slide about the impacts categories. I might have been slide 2 or slide 3. Yes, that one.
that one?
Yes, that one. So can you share a little bit more about what that looks like amongst the programs in the College of Health and Human Sciences? So for example, fashion studies using more of the category of improved cultural competency versus food, nutrition, tech, health, and health. Like, can you talk about those differences amongst the programs?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, our college tends to be rather unique in that we tend to be very diverse in terms of our program offerings. You know, if you look at health and human sciences, you know, we changed the name 3 years ago from human ecology because it more accurately reflects who we are. And they basically really fit under those 2 categories, you know, the health component and the human science aspects. And so if you look at the different departments within, you know, starting with kinesiology, food, nutrition, dietetics, and health, primarily health-related careers and opportunities associated with that. Fashion studies, interior design, hospitality management tend to be more similar in terms of their demands associated with it. Personal financial planning, again, kind of is its own, which again, they formed their own department 2 years ago. And then last one, applied human sciences, which involves 7 different programs within that department. So couples and family therapy, communication science disorder, conflict resolution, etc. So all with human relationships and human development. So you're right, it gets a little complicated under which one fits under which category, but they all catch one of them.
Jeremy?
It's gonna question sort of tangential, but sort of similar. What type of research opportunities are available for students in like interior design or personal financial planning?
Yeah, personal financial planning, speak to that one first. The short answer is we're working on it.
Okay.
You know, this is an area that I think provides, it's not typically thought of as having a lot of research opportunities, which is probably the reason for your
Yeah,
question.
I just saw it on the impacted categories. I was wondering. how you're talking about that.
I think there is some in terms of, and this is kind of the difference between, you know, we get asked all the time, why is PFP and health and human sciences and not in business? Well, PFP deals more with human relations. And so it's that sort, it's more behavior type of research, I would say, if I had to kind of generalize it in terms of the type of research associated with that. With regard to fashion studies, you probably better answer that one, but it's not so much what we think of in terms of empirical research, but it's more in terms of, you know, how do people respond to different things?
Okay. More the qualitative versus
Qualitative
quantitative.
is a good way to approach it. Would you agree with that, or?
I know a lot of my professors like dye research is super big because of sustainability. Yeah, like natural pigments. I don't know, a lot of that.
Yeah, we think of scholarship more in fashion
Yeah.
studies and some of these others as presentations, you know, trying different textiles, for example, you know, from different parts of the world, or using different materials as textiles and things. So
Fascinating.
it's a different way of looking at research, yeah.
Any further questions? Marcus, go ahead.
Yeah, so university data has shown that graduate student enrollment has gradually increased amongst the years. The slide that you referenced that has the percentage snapshots of where that money goes. I saw some for graduate students salaries, some for I think grad student travel. Can you speak a little bit more about how those percentage allocations have changed throughout the years as grad students enrollment has increased?
Yeah, that's another very good question. This is an area since I've been in this role that I put more of an emphasis in. I think there's tremendous opportunity with our grad students, and I would personally, again, we're trying to allocate more towards that opportunity, not just so much salary support, but more in terms of opportunities to attend conferences, present research, to visit other labs, for example, to get that graduate experience.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any further questions? Yeah, Jack, go ahead.
How of essentially, or an undergraduate who comes into your college, what percentage of them do you know roughly graduate from your college? And then how many of them is because they either stop attending and go to a different college? How many of them is because, like, what's the breakdown of the graduation rate of an undergraduate student?
The university retention rate is 86%, we're at 89%. So once students find us, and that's typically our biggest challenge, is, again, with the diversity of programs that we offer, finding who we are. I think the name change, has helped a lot with that. Once we have them, and I think they do well. Some programs, it takes a little time. PFTs is one of those, financial planning. Enrollment has been stable, I should say, in the last several years. But more often than not, students who find that program are already enrolled at K-State, but they find it through an introductory class, word of mouth, et cetera. So once they're there, they tend to stay there. I think, as a general statement, obviously you see some fluctuation going on, but yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
I'm just wondering, is there data out there that you're aware of that is collected, kind of what you're talking about, of students that have transferred from one college to the other, switch majors and whatnot? I'm just curious.
There's data for everything.
Yeah.
So sure there is.
Okay.
I can't repeat it to you right now, because I simply don't know it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
I could find that out for you. Pretty.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering, because I feel like there are a lot of students, just find out that have switched into college of human sciences, and they do stay there.
Yeah. My own son 2 years ago who graduated, he's, I think, switched colleges, 3 different colleges.
Yeah.
Just freshman year. So I get it. You gotta find what's your fit.
I had a question. I know one of these slides that talked about the mentor-mentee program.
Yeah.
Mentioned like the anecdotal one, I don't go too far now, mentioned how she appreciated having a mentor because it helped her find resources, like applications, things like that. What kind of support outside of pairing someone with a mentor does the college offer for like helping students do like medical school applications and things of that nature?
Yeah, that's part of that. I showed you that career development person, Dana Parker.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what she's doing. She helps associated with that career preparedness. And so we help with that. Again, we don't do it all at the college, but she's able to point the students the appropriate department or resource within the university who does have that expertise. So it's nice to have that point person rather than your generalist academic advisor. So our academic advisors know that if they have health questions, they typically go have 2 advisors. They have their academic advisor, and they also have their pre-health advisor.
I just have a comment. Since I'm a junior, I obviously was in it freshman and sophomore year, and when they hired Dana, I mean, there's just something like every single day for career development opportunities that previously have not been available at all. So yeah, that's just a comment to what the increase has done.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And we actually have, I just talked to Dana the other day about this, and we have more mentees and more mentors and mentees right now. It's the first time this year, so the opportunities are there, so can lead a horse.
I have a quick question. So can you go back to the slide about the percentage breakdowns of our dollars? My question is more or less asking from the fee that's collected from students, what or how much, if any, from that budget goes either directly or indirectly to recruitment of students?
part of that, it's not showing up here right now because we're in between recruiters.
Right.
We currently had a full-time, does everyone know Marcus is? I don't know, appropriate. Marcus's mother is one of our department heads in our department, so.
I'm not biased, I promise.
Just an all-
Asking honest question.
Yeah, so, our lead recruiter for the department, which, for the college, which we didn't have prior to this, I didn't show it now because we kind of have a vacancy at that. She accepted a position elsewhere a couple months ago. So we do have, we're looking to fill not just one, but two, this is the demand. So I hope that's one of those, when we talk about, I think it's the next slide. This realignment of funds, I think that's where we'd really like to see, obviously, recruitment. Number one priority for them to share that with us, and so that's where we'd like to enhance that area.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Does anyone have any more questions? Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, Dean Harms.
My pleasure.
So we will see you here back next week to do more Q and A as we've had some time to think over the presentation that you gave, and maybe some of the folks that weren't here will be able to get their eyes on this. But if we have any questions that anyone sends Parker or I, will forward them to you. But if no one sends us any questions that they have, we'll just look forward to seeing you here next week.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, everybody. So like I said, if you have any questions that you come up with between now and next Tuesday, I'll send the PowerPoint out along with the. I'll see if we'll see if we can find the information. Like, do you have the information like you had last time?
The previous year's PowerPoint, I actually do, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to forward that to me, we'll go ahead and send that out along with this PowerPoint. And you will have a chance to look over that and look over this, cook up any questions. And if you have any, you can go ahead and send them to me and we'll forward them on to Dean Harms. But if not, then like I said, we'll just have Dean Harms here next week and then we'll wrap up the Q and A session then. Unless anyone has any other questions, I'll go ahead and say that we can stand adjourned.
Actually, I have a question. When are new fee proposals due / do we expect any?
So we have not, since we have had the scheduling conflicts with the provost every single week so far this semester. We haven't had a chance to really sit down with him or chat with him about hearing about any fee proposals, and he hasn't mentioned that he's gotten any. But Parker, do you remember what day we gave the provost? It was sometime in November, I think, after we had wrapped up the HHS, that he was gonna send any on to us. But like I said, I haven't heard. Ethan, have you heard anything?
I've not heard, but I may not hear
Yeah.
either. So,
Okay.
Gotcha.
So
I knew it was November 2nd last year. So I was-
some November day.
Lots of times that stuff circles.
Yeah. So if we get any fee proposals, we will, of course, or hear about any from the provost that he wants to bring forward to the committee. We'll share those with all of you, and then we'll move forward with that process into the spring semester. But if we don't hear anything about it, then we just won't probably have any fee proposals to go over in the spring semester. But that'll mean probably reduced meetings in the spring, but we'll still have a couple because we're working on some ideas about ways that we can incorporate the student services fee budget overview into the committee, and Ethan tentatively maybe a tuition increase.
We'll have some discussion about.
Some discussion about tuition, regardless of if there's an increase or not. There'll be some conversations in the spring, but once we wrap up, if we do like we did last with the engineering review, if we're able to wrap up at our next meeting, there might be 1 or 2 more meetings in this semester. If there are fee proposals that we need to discuss and then get the ball rolling on the college fee committees, but if not, we probably won't have too many more meetings this semester. Any more questions from anybody? Okay, awesome. 5:54, yes. We'll stay adjourned. I don't know why I thought that time was wrong. Anyway,
I won't be here next Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm at the Big 12 Business Officers Conference, which is in Oklahoma State. So that's actually gonna to show up on that campus.
okay, thanks. Bye, everybody.
Even a quick question. Yeah.
So I made a question about what is the PA fee? Because so I have
We never.
I don't really even know.
In which one of these?